Hey, my name is Maggie and I'm out here at Delight Flower Farm where I farm. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about using some tools that are pretty common in farming, like a stirrup hoe and a shovel, in ways that are safe for your back and your shoulder. So let's just get right into it. If you're using a tool like this, something you want to make sure of is that you have a long enough handle that you're able to go anywhere on the tool that's comfortable for you. Sometimes a really long handle can be problematic, but this one is at about an average size and seems to work for my body. So keep that in mind as you're picking out tools, especially if different sized people are going to be working with the tools on your farm. So here we have a little bit of thistle and some other weeds coming up in a bed that we just tilled, and we're going to be prepping for some more planting. So in using a stirrup hoe, you're going to be pushing with your body, and you want to use the tool to do most of the work and your body to do the least amount of work. So what I'm looking for is just a simple, smooth movement of my shoulder and my hand on the tool. Basically, my hands stay stationary, my elbows move, and my shoulder moves. So to see it in action, I'm pushing forward against the weeds just to get them out. And over time, you know, if you have a long bed to do this on, you might start to ache a little bit in the shoulder. So if you have the dexterity and you want to try, you can switch the arm that you're working with so that you're not taxing one shoulder predominantly over the other. Your work might be a little less precise, but when you're doing a job like this, it's not really going to make a difference. And it will make a difference at the end of the day when you go home, if you haven't just used one arm all day or one shoulder. So using a shovel, the basics are the same. Instead of pushing, often you're lifting with it, so it's a little different demand on your muscles, but the principles are the same. I want to hold a tool in a way that feels comfortable for my body and then use it to move the soil. And often you will have to use a little bit more of your shoulders in working with a shovel. But one thing to be careful of is to not overreach with your back. Don't go so far over a bed that you're straining your neck, your back, your shoulders as you're working. Try to move with the tasks that you're doing. So if I'm working down a bed and trying to shovel something, I'm going to be moving with the tool and the project quite a bit instead of kind of finding the end of my reach. I want to work closer to my body where it's a little bit easier to lift that weight. When you're working in the field and you do start to feel an ache and a pain come up, it's okay. In fact, it's often more efficient for you to stop before you've reached that really painful place in your body and do some simple stretches. So you might just stand for a moment without the tool in your hand, catch your hands back behind you, and just stretch so that you get an opening through the chest and the upper back. If you've been in a hunched and rounded position, try to find the counter to that shape. So going in the opposite direction every so often will help you in the long run. In an ideal situation, maybe you can stop and you're in the shade and you can stretch on the back of your truck or a picnic table, but sometimes you're out in the middle of the field, kind of far away from a place that might seem like a good place to stretch. So you can just use what you have around. So I've got this little fence right here, and I just want to put my hands on the fence so that I have some support and walk back so that I'm bending right at my waistline again and trying to get that, instead of the upper back rounding, let the upper back come down. I can even look forward a little bit and then bring my head in line to the shoulders and then walk forward and come out. That simple stretch is kind of the equivalent of a downward facing dog in yoga without having to get on the ground with your hands in the dirt or the weeds. And you still get that nice long extension of your back. You get to stretch out the backs of your legs that might be a little tired after shoveling and working hard. And essentially you can use whatever you have around you as a stretching tool. So start to think a little bit creatively. Another option is to use this behind you. So if you're holding on to something, it can really be anything that's near you, about waist height or maybe a little bit lower. And then you can bend your knees and you start to get that, I'm feeling it, the back of my arms, the triceps, as well as the upper back. As I bend down, I get a little bit of opening through the chest, and that's a great way to have a stretch in the midst of field work. In terms of avoiding pain in your body while you're doing field work, a few simple strategies can be really helpful. So finding the right size tool for your body and the right tool for the job can be really helpful, as well as periodically changing your body position so that you vary the workload on different muscle groups, and then periodically stop and stretch. It seems like it's an interruption, and if you're in the flow of working, you might forget to do it, but if you can stay conscious of checking in with how you're feeling as you work and just take a 15-second break, stretch things out, I think that you'll find at the end of the day you feel much different than on the days where you're not stopping and taking stretch breaks. So I hope this helps you feel more comfortable doing the work that you love to do.